A voice for Leela, a journey from silence to truth. My name is Elena. I'm 36 years old, and for the past 14 years I've carried a secret so heavy it shaped every part of my life. I never spoke of it, not to my parents, not to my co-workers, not even in the quiet moments alone with my thoughts. I've lived a small, careful life, working as a janitor in a community center in Seattle, sweeping floors, wiping down tables, and keeping the world at arm's length. The hum of the vacuum, the clink of dishes in the kitchen, the faint chatter of evening classes, they were my safe haven, a routine that kept the past buried. But inside I was never truly at peace. I was always watching, always waiting, afraid that the truth I hid would find me. People called me reserved, saying, "Elena, the quiet one, always dependable." I'd nod, force a smile, but my heart was a locked box and the key was buried deep. I wasn't always this way. As a teenager, I was full of life, chasing dreams with my best friend Leela. We grew up in a modest neighborhood where the streets were lined with old oak trees and kids played until the streetlights flickered on. Leela was my opposite, vibrant, fearless, with a laugh that could fill a room. I was the shy one, content to follow her lead. We met in middle school, bonded over shared secrets and late-night talks about our futures. "We're going to conquer the world, Elena," she'd say, her eyes sparkling. After high school, we drifted slightly, me working at a grocery store, her at a local diner, but we stayed close. Sundays were hours spent at a park near the waterfront, sipping coffee, dreaming of opening a cafe together someday. "It'll have fairy lights and live music," she'd plan, sketching ideas on napkins. I'd laugh, adding, "and your famous blueberry pie." Those were the days when life felt endless, full of promise. But everything changed one summer evening when I was 22. Leela called me, her voice tight with panic. "Elena, I need to see you, now." I told her to come to my tiny apartment, a cramped space above a laundromat. When she arrived, her hands were trembling, her face pale despite the August heat. "I saw something," she whispered, sitting on my worn couch. "Something bad." I pressed her, what, where, who, but she was vague, her eyes darting to the window. "I can't tell you yet. It's dangerous. I'm going to the police tomorrow." Fear gripped me. "Leela, what's going on? Did someone hurt you?" She shook her head. "No, but they might. I saw something I wasn't supposed to." She hugged me tightly before leaving, promising, "I'll explain soon, just don't tell anyone I was here." Her words chilled me, but I nodded, watching her disappear into the night. 3 days later, the news hit like a sledgehammer. Leela was found near a pier, her body pulled from the water. The police called it an accident, said she'd been drinking, slipped and drowned, but I knew better. I'd seen her fear, heard the tremor in her voice. She wasn't reckless, something had happened. I went to the station, told them she'd visited me, said she was scared, mentioned going to the police. They took notes, thanked me, but weeks later the case was closed. "No evidence of foul play," they said. I wanted to scream, she didn't just fall, but fear stopped me. Because I hadn't told them everything. That night after Leela left my apartment, I couldn't shake my worry. I grabbed my jacket and followed her, staying a block behind. I saw her near the diner, talking to a man by a dark sedan. He was tall, with a sharp jaw and a suit that looked out of place in our gritty neighborhood. Their voices were low, but Leela's gestures were sharp, angry. He grabbed her wrist, she yanked free. Then she got into his car and they drove off. I stood frozen, heart pounding, telling myself it was nothing, that she'd call me later, but she never did. That was the last time I saw her alive. I didn't tell the police about the man or the car. I was young, terrified, convinced that speaking up would put me in danger. So I buried it, moved to a new city, changed jobs, and built a life of silence. I told myself it was for safety, but it was cowardice. For 14 years I carried that secret. I left the grocery store, took the janitor job, and moved into a one-room apartment with a single window overlooking a quiet alley. I avoided friendships, kept conversations short, and spent evenings with books or the hum of the radio. Every year on Leela's birthday, I'd pull out our old photo, a Polaroid of us at the park, her grinning, me squinting into the sun. I'd whisper, "I'm sorry," promising myself I'd speak up next year. But fear always won. I'd see shadows in strangers' faces, hear danger in every loud noise. I thought silence would keep me safe, but it only trapped me. Then one rainy April evening, everything shifted. I'd finished my shift at the community center, my shoes squeaking on the wet pavement as I walked home. The Seattle rain was relentless, soaking my coat, chilling my bones. I turned a corner and saw a man speaking at a community event through a lit window. He was addressing a group about neighborhood safety, his voice smooth, authoritative. My breath caught. It was him, the man from that night, older now with grey at his temples but unmistakable. His name tag read James Carter, City Council candidate. My knees buckled. I gripped a lamppost to steady myself. For 14 years I'd buried that face, but there he was, smiling at a crowd, as if Leela's life meant nothing. I stumbled home, my mind a storm of memories. Leela's voice, her fear, the man by the car, it all flooded back. I sat on my bed, staring at the Polaroid. "I can't stay quiet anymore," I whispered. The next morning I called in sick, something I'd never done. I paced my apartment, heart racing, debating whether to act. I opened my laptop, searched James Carter. He was prominent, a rising politician, married, with a reputation for community work. His smile in the photos made my stomach churn. I found an article about a cold case initiative encouraging witnesses to come forward. My fingers hovered over the police contact number. I closed the laptop, walked to the park where Leela and I used to sit, and sat on our bench. Rain dripped from the trees, mirroring the tears I hadn't shed in years. A young woman passed, laughing with a friend, her joy so like Leela's. I knew then I had to speak. Back home I dialed the police. "My name is Elena Martinez. I have information about a case from 14 years ago. Leela Bennett." The officer's voice was calm, professional. "Can you come to the station tomorrow?" I agreed, my voice steady despite my trembling hands. That night I barely slept, replaying every detail of that night. Leela's words, the man's grip, the car's taillights vanishing. I wrote it all down, every fragment I could recall, filling pages with shaky handwriting. Morning came, grey and damp. I put on my best sweater, tucked the notebook under my arm, and walked to the station. The officer, Detective Larson, was kind but direct. I told him everything: Leela's visit, her fear, the man by the car, and seeing James Carter at the community center. I described the sedan, the argument, the way Leela pulled away. "I didn't tell anyone back then," I admitted, voice breaking. "I was scared." Larson nodded, jotting notes. "You're here now, that's what matters." He asked for details about Carter's appearance, the diner's location, the exact date. I gave him everything, my memory sharper than I expected. When I left, I felt lighter, as if I'd set down a stone I'd carried too long. Days turned into weeks. The police called me back twice, asking for clarifications. They'd found old CCTV footage from a nearby gas station buried in an archive. It showed a car matching my description, Leela's figure briefly visible. "We're reopening the case," Larson said. "Your statement gave us a lead." I sat in my apartment, stunned. For 14 years I'd thought my silence had buried the truth forever. Now it was alive again. One evening I saw a news report. Local politician questioned in cold case. Carter's face flashed on the screen, his smile gone, replaced by a tight-lipped grimace. The report didn't name Leela, but it mentioned new witness testimony. My heart raced. I was that witness. I didn't feel triumph, just a quiet resolve. I'd done what I should have done years ago. Then came a call from a woman named Maria, another witness. We met at a quiet cafe, her hands nervous around her coffee cup. "I worked at the diner," she said. "I saw that man Carter talking to Leela a few times. He made her uneasy, but I never said anything." We shared our stories, our guilt, our relief at speaking now. Maria became a friend, someone who understood the weight of silence. Together, we joined a support group for cold case witnesses, meeting others who'd carried secrets too long. Each story strengthened me, made me feel less alone. Months later, the police called again. Carter was charged not just for Leela's case, but for intimidation and fraud tied to other incidents. "Your testimony broke the dam," Larson said. "Others came forward because of you." I sat by my window, rain tapping the glass, and felt a peace I hadn't known in years. I pulled out Leela's photo, tracing her smile. "I did it," I whispered. "For you." The trial was long, spanning nearly a year. I testified, standing in a courtroom, voice steady as I recounted that night. Carter's eyes met mine once. I didn't look away. He was convicted, not for murder, as evidence was thin, but for related charges that ensured years behind bars. It wasn't full justice, but it was something. Leela's name was in the open, her story no longer a footnote. After the trial, I spoke at a community event for victims' families and witnesses. My voice shook at first, but I told our story. I stayed silent for 14 years, afraid of what speaking would cost. But silence cost more, it cost truth, it cost Leela. Speak when you're ready, even if it's late. The applause was soft, but a woman approached me after, tears in her eyes. You gave me courage to report something, she said. I hugged her, whispering, you've got this. Now I'm different. I still work at the community centre, but I talk more, smile genuinely. I've made friends, marry others from the group. I visit Leela's park bench every spring, leaving a flower for her. I miss her, but I carry her light now. Silence kept me safe, but speaking set me free. Truth doesn't always heal, but it can rebuild, and I'm living proof. If this story touched you, like, subscribe and share. Comment your own story of finding courage. Keep shining, your voice matters.